I love new games. This channel has sort of become the new game hub of anything historical or medieval, and boy, have I got an exciting one for you today. Do you like Dark Souls? Do you like open world RPGs? Well, if so, you're gonna love Mortem Fallen Kingdom. Mortem Fallen Kingdom is an open-world Souls-like RPG where you can explore the world and take part in rewarding action combat. I love finding these types of games that seem to be hidden away in the depths of Steam. They're not out in the limelight just yet as they're working on making the core mechanics great, and I'll get onto later why this game in particular is so amazingly made. The game's going to take players into this medieval fantasy world, taking inspiration from arms and armor of the past, being able to traverse the terrain of mountains, open plains, forests, and finding details that you can come across in just your normal gameplay experience. The game is full of lore. They're creating a whole backstory to try and immerse you in this world. The king has set you a task. It is your chance to explore the land, to find the remaining magic sources, and learn how to wield its destructive power against the High Lord's army. And yes, as I mentioned, this is inspired by medieval combat, and we're going to get some amazing battles throughout the story. Now, at the beginning, I'm going to add that this is, as far as I know at this point in time, a single player experience, and I think a lot of you will breathe a sigh of release. We've got a lot of these open world RPGs that have been released or announced, and they all seem to be focused on trying to get as many players crammed in as possible, this MMO experience. And whilst it works for some games, and I think it is a brilliant way of bringing people together and creating a gaming experience that you maybe couldn't get with a single player game, every now and then I think people just need to take a step back and go into a world on their own, and a single player platform is the best way to immerse someone, especially in a medieval fantasy world like Fallen Kingdom is trying to create. But speaking of medieval fantasy, the game's going to include some extremely in-depth combat features. Not only are you going to be able to do your typical light and heavy attacks with different weapons that will have completely different effects on each other, but there is a big emphasis on learning new combinations and attacks that you're going to be able to progress throughout the game. You know, back in the old days when combat in games used to have different combinations that you could do to find new ways of defeating your enemies, well, that is being brought back, harking back to the classics of RPGs where there is no button spamming, but there are certain ways that you can take down different enemies, and they all come in the form of these combinations. They're hoping to implement bigger and bigger battles as time goes on. At the moment, from what we can see in gameplay, it seems to be smaller skirmishes, but I can't wait to see how big that can go, especially in a world of this scale. It looks like we might be able to get some awesome medieval style sieges. But how does this RPG work? Well, there are no classes. You don't pick a rogue or a tank or a warlock. You create your character as you play. You start as a base canvas and you mold it and paint it in the style that you're moving in. Maybe you want to be a slick fighter with a bow and a spear who stands at the back pinging off arrows but gets in when they're needed the most. Or maybe you do become that tank character with a big sword, axe or shield charging through the gates and destroying the foe in front of you. This can all be done as you play, and maybe you change your mind of the direction you want to take your character. Possibilities are endless. Let's talk about quests. Well, the quests are going to be very Dark Souls inspired. There is no hand holding. It's going to be a fairly hardcore experience. I don't know how similar they're going to take it to the Dark Souls franchise, but in all the promotional materials we've been told this is going to be an open world RPG similar experience to what we've seen in those games. But as I mentioned, they're not going to spoon feed you these quests. If you want to find a quest, there's not going to be a marker that will tell you exactly where to go. You have to use your relations that you've built up with the NPCs and the characters that you meet along the way. Maybe you want to find where you can get some certain treasure or rewards. Well, you're going to have to find an NPC that knows where these treasures or rewards are, and you're going to have to get that information from then. From then on, it's not going to give you markers of the direction you want to lead. You need to ask people for directions to your destination. I love this way of immersing players in the game, and it really brings a true RPG element, because we see games calling themselves RPGs, but the role-playing pretty much just consists of seeing a dot blinking on the map and then heading towards it. Where's the role-playing in that? However, when you do ask NPCs for help on quests or for directions, they might help you, or they might have their own motives, sending you into traps or dangerous areas in order to gain for themselves. Now, Mortem Fallen Kingdom will, of course, as you would expected, have monsters and bosses. We can see in some of the gameplay in the trailers that there are trolls, ogres, these big mouth weird monsters, and of course, at the end of the trailer, that big boy dragon who's going to be a beast to try and take down. But you don't have to do it alone. You can make relations with NPCs, and you can even have other soldiers that will help you on these quests to take down these beasts and monsters. But these natural beings throughout the world can trigger events that happen as you play. A troll might wander into a village and start attacking it, and it's your job to go and stop them with some patrolling soldiers. Maybe a castle is under threat from a swarm of beasts, and you have to go and try and lead the armies to take them down. These world events will be triggered by the ambient life within the game, and my, does it look beautiful. The thing that got me hooked and wanted to make this video was just the screenshots of this. It looks gorgeous. Of course, it's made on the Unreal Engine 4, which we know has given us some beautiful games in the past, but we can see destructive buildings, monsters smashing down walls, the physics-based combat. It looks beautiful, and it's all done within this engine, and this is where it gets exciting. You know how I mentioned at the start of the video that this massive open world has been built by this team, but it's something more impressive than you might think, and that's because there isn't a team. All of this, everything that you can see and everything that I have told you about has been made by one person. We're back again. I don't know how we keep doing it. I keep getting drawn to these games that I find incredibly enticing and I can't wait to play, and then we find out that they've all been made by one person. The same thing happened with a game like Manor Lords or Ancient Cities, and I think this says something massive about the gaming industry today, that one person can create a game of this scale and still bring out enough content to keep people excited and to keep people updated. I mean, War Penguin Studios, who is the developer of this game, is so active on social medias, on their Discord and on Twitter. Much like Slavic Magic is for Manor Lords, War Penguin Studios is updating with different videos and clips and screenshots of all the different mechanics and additions that they're adding in. The game's not even out yet, and still developer blogs are being posted on the Steam page at what things they fixed, everything that they've been testing out, and what feedback they've got from their fans and the people that want to play these games. And I think it's amazing. I think it's so impressive how we've got these one-man teams that are creating games that I think we really want to play. And that's why I think they deserve all the support they can get. Of course, there are some doubts with a game like this. These RPG style games that look to be massive scaled, even at the best of times with all the resources and team members in the world, can sometimes go wrong. They can sometimes be overhyped and they don't come out as promised. And this is only amplified with a team of just one person. However, there hasn't been big promises yet. As I mentioned before, this game has been hidden in the depths of Steam. There isn't massive promotion campaigns hyping everybody for this game yet because it's been worked on. It's been meticulously detailed and progressed through the development, and then when it is at a stage where I think it can be released, I think that's when we're going to see a big push for Mortem Fallen Kingdom. I love finding new games like this, so if you have any other games you want me to check out and report on, please leave a comment down below. Please leave a like on the video if you enjoyed it and dislike it if you didn't. But until then, I will see you in the next one.